Well, good. Finally, Friday morning, 4 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock. We're already up to 52 degrees at the K-RIM studios on West Frontier in Payson. And this morning on K-RIM's Community Spotlight, as we always do on Fridays, we have your hometown movie guys with us. Hey, hometown movie guys.
Hello.
You.
Yo, Adrian.
You could have been a contender.
Hello, everybody out there in radio land.
Let's see if we can't get that microphone back out of Andy's throat here. Okay, so.
Hello.
Good morning. Hey, well, first of all, we got to talk about the
George Miller.
George Miller. We got to talk about George Miller.
Yes.
Why is that?
He's the director
of
Mad Max Fury Road,
which is now playing at the
That's
Sawmill Theaters. That's up today, right?
Yep.
Yes, yeah, we're bringing this one back. This is the black and chrome edition.
The black and chrome edition.
It's black and white.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, black and white.
Wow.
Yeah, they
but
kind
more
of
shiny.
Yeah. It really does look pretty cool. And if you haven't seen this movie, this thing was just just insanity.
But in a good way.
Fury Road is just they're racing across the desert trying to save these people, and they built these insane vehicles that are, I mean, just
Yeah.
you know, these big monster vehicles that are racing these things. And they went through it on this movie. They actually did all this stuff. I mean, this is because there's some CGI in it, but a lot of this they actually did these things, and the stunts and everything are just incredible.
Now, I know before the show today, you and Andy were talking about how some of these vehicles had like big, long, flexible, like flag poles sticking up out of them that people were at the top of, and these things were bending back and forth, and they try and bend it over and hop into another vehicle from it. Or
Yeah, they were calling them polecats.
Polecats.
But yeah, these guys are up on a 30-foot pole, and again, this wasn't CGI. They did this. They put stuntmen up on top of these poles and then raced across the desert at speed, and these poles are swinging back and forth, and they're dropping into vehicles, and just craziness.
And Andy, you were saying that one of the people that was having to do that wasn't necessarily, super enthused to begin with.
Tom Hardy.
Oh, Tom Hardy.
He's
Yeah.
the main character, the main actor. Imagine that. You're going 60 miles an hour and you're on the top of this flagpole and you're bending. That was terrifying.
Oh, come on, that's what they get the big bucks for, please.
Yeah, I knew they got it for some reason.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron in this also.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So a great cast. This thing, it won 6 Academy Awards.
Wow.
Nominated for 10.
Nominated for 10.
This was
And got 6.
This was a big thing, and the only thing I can really compare it to is some of the chariot race in Ben-Hur.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, that
That's
type
where
of
people actually died during the filming of that.
This was, of course, safety precautions are better here, but
Not much.
Yeah.
It's filmed in Namibia.
I was watching them make this thing yesterday.
In
and
Namibia? Holy moly.
They've got it. It's called the war wagon. This big semi truck oil tanker thing that's
I
got
knew a
spikes
girl
and
whose mom
guns.
we used to call that. I'll steer clear of the tail end jokes.
Yeah.
All right.
But and then when they were making this thing though, they had all this scaffolding and stuff built on top of the vehicle.
Right.
That had another camera crew and all these cables and everything, and these guys were actually jumping off the back of these trucks, and of course they had the cables on there, but they were jumping off and coming within like a foot or two of the vehicle behind them, and before they got stopped and pulled back. So it was really it's really impressive.
Wow. Now I'm going to circle back around. We want to talk more about that movie here in a little bit, but first. What else on the slate of movies that people can go? Because I think, I don't know about anyone else, but man, I'm getting like cabin fever, just staying home way too much. Time to get out and watch a movie, maybe
It's
go
time
out
to
to
actually
dinner or
go to
something.
a movie,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Like really go to a movie.
I mean, actually get up off the chair and everything.
Yeah, drive
Wow.
up from Tallahassee.
Yeah, I could do that. I'm actually, I'm overdue for that. So what else playing at the Sawmill Theaters this week?
We got Wonder Woman. That's probably the big one there. Wonder Woman 1984. We got that played in 2D and 3D.
Yeah.
And one of the things I just love about the movies is
Wonder Woman?
Is
It's
well,
Gal
yeah.
Gadot. It's
Is
the only thing you love about the movie.
is
right?
movie magic. Chris Pine was Wonder Woman's boyfriend in the first movie.
Hmm.
Well, he died heroically, was blown to atoms,
Oh, wow.
but yet.
However,
He gets to come back.
With the miracle of cinematography.
That's
those
right.
atoms have been reassembled just in time for opening day. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, that was really fun. I mean, I like him.
Yeah, he is
It was fun to have somebody being literally disassembled in a huge explosion, and then be able to come back. 50 years later,
Right?
looking none the worse for
Do you
wear.
think we could learn to do that ourselves? I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, it involved an ancient artifact that granted wishes.
We were joking before the show today that actually Andy doesn't even have to have the volume turned on when he watches that movie. He just likes to watch. Gal Gadot, that makes a pretty interesting woman to wonder about.
Former Miss Israel.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
And former Israeli army
That's right,
as well.
yeah. Wow.
She's military.
And current mom.
Yep, current mom.
All the best stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And she's gonna be playing Cleopatra. by the
Oh,
way.
yeah, that's right.
Really?
Yes,
Coming
and
soon.
she got a lot of flack from them because, well, Cleopatra was black. Actually, she wasn't. Cleopatra was Macedonian.
yeah.
And so, all the PC witches are, storing the
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So now we got Wonder Woman. What else?
Then with Tom Hanks, News of the World.
That's one I want to see.
Yeah, Tom Hanks
Yes,
Western.
yes, okay.
That
I have to-
everyone's loved.
And he only gave it 3.5 saw blades.
I
And
thought it was choppy.
I am here to tell you, it was 6 saw blades. I
Wow.
loved it. My husband and I both saw it. It made me tear up. It was a beautiful movie. Seriously, if you're looking for something that has positive values,
Meat.
Huh?
Meat. Have some meat to it.
well, yeah, but I mean, you gotta go see it. I love that
It's not
movie.
just fluff.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, you need to write into the paper and change your saw blade.
Demand more saw blades.
Yes, more saw.
Well,
No, it's
interesting though.
great.
So I mean, really well worth going to see. I mean,
Beautiful.
you've heard it first here on Roller Derby. That our just amazing critics have given it more thumbs up than they have thumbs. So that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And this is actually what came out 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
It was Christmas.
Oh, Chris.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, the 25th.
Right. And how's it been doing? I mean, overall.
It's done really good. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, everyone here in
Yeah.
Payson's really loved it. It's
I think that's the first Western that I've seen him in
So,
since, with the exception of one where he was a cartoon character.
after Toy Story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that ought to be interesting. I mean, and he does seem like he could take on just about every, anything that you could throw at him, except for,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
he seems to, keep. I mean, when you think of, Apollo 13, and then you think of Saving Private Ryan, and a lot of the.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I mean, he a lot of things crash when he's around. It seems like so. I don't know if I want to travel with him or not, but anyway, it sounds like an interesting point. Now, what else besides that?
We still have the Croods.
The Croods.
Yep.
That's an animated thing good for the whole family.
Good for the kids. Yeah, good for the kids. Let's see. We've got Fatale.
As in Femme Fatale, as we've talked about.
Yeah,
last
that's
week.
Hilary Swank in a kind of a crime thriller. It looks pretty good.
What's that rated?
It's rated R.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
don't take the kids.
Good reason for that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even though inquiring minds want to know, you have to go watch it for yourself to find out. We don't
Yeah.
talk about that stuff.
Well, inquiring minds can also read Andy's review in that case.
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah, and they should.
There you go.
We all should.
And then of course Fury Road is the one opening up
Yeah.
today.
And that's
Mad Max Fury Road Black and Chrome Special Edition.
wow.
Dude.
It's quite a title.
Mhm.
So now I'm assuming that are we still talking about Mel Gibson here?
No,
No,
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy is in this one. yeah.
Okay.
Tom Hardy plays Mel Gibson.
Okay. Mel
I'm
Gibson
sorry,
plays
but
an old man.
Nobody
Yeah.
can play Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
such a
it
fan.
wasn't really really call it a sequel to Mad Max.
No, it's kind of
I mean,
Its
it kind
own
of stands
thing.
on its own, yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of stands on its own, but it's definitely in that kind of in that world, this weird post-apocalyptic,
Right.
insane world.
Hey, if you think about the James Bond franchise, lots of people play James Bond,
Sure.
and yet it's still James Bond. And so Mad Max, right?
Yep.
I mean,
He's
even
still-
though,
still mad.
I mean, Mel Gibson was the best. Of course, I haven't seen this one, and I will see this one, probably today with Andy, right?
Mel Gibson has gotten kind of a bad rap at times, but I've
Yeah,
always
but
been
you
very
know what?
entertained with just
Oh,
about
my
everything
word.
he's been in.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies of his that nobody seems to have seen but my husband and me, and we see it repeatedly, is Get the Gringo.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, my
Oh, I saw that recently too.
Oh, I love that movie.
Boy, oh, you'd like that.
Yeah, you'd
lots
like
of
it.
lots of violence,
Lots of, and funny. He's,
killing and stuff.
Yes, he's just wonderful. He's wonderful.
I'm not sure that there's any Mel Gibson movie that outpaces Braveheart, in my opinion.
Well, there is that.
I mean, that to me, that
Right.
every time I see that when it's on television, I just,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna stop there. I think I
Yeah.
could watch it 100 times and still be entertained.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and somebody was mentioning the cast for Mad Max Fury Road.
Right.
But a couple of people in here I'd like to bring special attention to. There's a part of the movie where it involves, in fact, a lot of the movie involves the wives of the bad guy, that's wives plural,
Right.
escaping. One of them is played by Riley Crow, Crow,
How do you
Keough,
kill
Keough.
or kill? It's
Maybe-
what
maybe
was it? Kill like Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna
she
need a
pla-
bid
she-
if we keep talking about
Yeah,
this.
She plays a wife known as the Capable, and she's Elvis Presley's granddaughter.
Oh, wow.
What?
So, yeah.
Seriously? Is she Priscilla's? No, I mean.
Yeah, Priscilla married a guy named.
No, Lisa. You're talking Lisa Marie.
No,
Wait, Lisa Marie's his daughter, so she
Yeah, so
would be Lisa Marie's
would be
daughter.
Lisa Marie, yeah.
Heavens, really? Okay.
And there's another of the wives is called Toast the Knowing, which I thought was an interesting name. And
Never heard of
that is played by the extravagantly beautiful Zoe Kravitz
Oh, she's great.
and
Lenny Kravitz's daughter.
and
Yeah.
Lisa Bonet, probably
Oh, yeah.
probably
Oh.
the best genetic beauty line in
That's
in American history.
That's a serious aristocratic beauty line there,
Yep.
yeah, right.
But I just thought I'd mention those.
Well, don't look so perplexed, that's why you bring us in here.
I
We know
knew that
stuff.
there was a reason.
Yeah, we're fountains of useless knowledge.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's another of the wives is called the Dag, and another one is called Cheeto the Fragile. And everybody's got terrific names.
She's kind of crispy.
Everybody's got terrific names in this. Charlize Theron is the Imperator Furiosa.
Wow, that sounds official.
Imperatore Furiosa.
Oh, good, thank you.
This is the
Yeah.
Italian
Yeah,
connection.
But the director, George Miller, has directed each and every one of the Mad Max movies.
Even back to the,
Mad Max, he directed.
wow.
Mad Max 2, he
Yeah.
directed.
Thunderdome?
Thunderdome with
Mad
Tina
Max.
Turner.
That's right.
Holy moly, love that one.
Yep,
Yeah.
he directed them all. An interesting dude. He got his only Academy Award was from his movie Happy Feet, which I'm sure you've seen.
Oh, yes, I have grandkids.
Yep, it's about the
Dancing
penguins.
penguins.
The dancing
Oh,
penguins.
the dancing
Yeah.
penguins.
So Mad Max and Happy Feet.
That's kind of a
Yeah, it's
wide
a-
departure between those two. It's,
Yeah, and even wider. Do you remember Lorenzo's Oil?
Oh my gosh, that's a great movie. Susan Sarandon, right?
I thought you'd like
I
that.
love that. He directed
Lorenzo's
that as
Oil?
well? Goodness, you are a fountain of useful knowledge. I'm only the useless knowledge.
Yeah. But I mean, an amazing movie, an amazing director, and you can't have anything more different than Mad Max, Lorenzo's Oil, and Happy Feet. Yeah.
Versatile.
well,
Yeah.
real quick, I'm going to just
Yeah.
interject you real quick. I'll go
Also,
back to this.
Witches of Eastwick, probably the greatest movie ever recorded.
Obviously, Andy's been drinking this morning.
I don't know, you just went south on us.
Hey, want to say a quick give a quick shout out to Margie, Tina, Carl, and Samuel all joining us on Facebook Live, and you can go on to look for KRIM FM on Facebook and join us live on there and see the bright, shining, smiling faces of your hometown movie guys. And although on the radio here we're only taking this on for another 11 minutes up until the bottom of the hour. After that, we'll go another 30 minutes on Facebook Live, so join us over there, and thanks to those who are already there with us, we appreciate it.
And a shout out to the gals at the t-shirt shop. Howdy, howdy.
Oh, yes.
The t-shirt shop?
Mm.
Which
Yeah,
one?
They
Black-
listen every
Black-
week
Black and Tan.
Oh, Black and Tan, yeah.
And I'm going over there today, guys.
To get a
Black and
t-shirt?
Tan. Yep, I got t-shirts ready for me.
You gonna get a black one or a tan one?
No, I got special movie guys t-shirt.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I've seen those too.
Yeah, and I'm giving them out, so,
That's right.
yeah.
Gotta love it.
And guess what other two movies that George Miller directed?
Well, gosh, when you go from Happy Feet to, it's hard to tell. It sounds like it could be most anything.
Remember Babe
Oh,
Babe,
about the piggy?
yeah.
Piggy.
And Babe in the City, the
Oh
sequel.
my gosh, those were great
Wow.
movies.
I'm
That goes back
Imagine-
a few years.
Imagine though a director that has the capacity to encompass this staggering range of movies.
Yeah.
Now, see, now you made Craig leave the room. He'll be back shortly. But
Oh,
well, that is interesting.
Wonderful. And James, what's his name? The English actor? Babe.
Yeah, big tall guy.
Big tall guy, I can't remember, yeah, but he played a bad guy in LA Confidential.
He's played the
really
US
good.
president a couple of times too.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
good, yeah, can't remember, I keep thinking Coburn, but that's not
That's
it.
that guy.
Yeah, I think it is a C name.
Yeah, we'll think of it.
Yeah.
So now this Mad Max thing, though, again, you were saying that some of the stunts and everything were really amazing overall as far as storyline. I mean, this had how many?
10 Academy Award nominations, 6 Academy Award wins.
So I mean, this movie's got to have some oomph to it. Aside from special effects and stunts, there's got to be a lot going on.
Oh, yeah. Charlize Theron has one arm in this movie.
Mhm.
It's a cut off above the elbow.
Right.
And you don't see that kind of dedication to the craft all that often in acting.
Right. So, I look back to Saving Private Ryan when Sinise, after his accident, I mean, they did a pretty believable job of making it look like both of his legs were blown off, even though they weren't. But I mean, special effects these days is
Well,
pretty
that-
astounding.
Medical science, they were able to put them back on.
Oh, is that how it was? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, just a little scar there, nothing to worry about. Now, what times does the Mad Max movie play right
It's
now?
1, 4, and 7.
1, 4, and 7.
Yes.
All right, so whether you want a little afternoon matinee, then maybe go out have an early dinner afterwards, or have dinner and go check it out later in the
Or if
evening.
you wanna see Andy and me in the flesh, we'll be there at 1,
You're going to be in the flesh, huh?
more or less. yeah.
Okay. Film at 11. So you're going to go there at 1 today.
Yeah,
And what are you watching?
Mad Max.
Oh, Mad Max. And how about you?
I'll be seeing Mad Max Fury Road
Yeah.
in the special
Black and Chrome.
Chrome edition.
Yes.
So this is the same movie, it's just in black and white,
Yeah, there's some extra footage in there.
Oh, really?
There is some added stuff in here too.
right?
But it's. I said you really have to check it out. It's if you go on our website, there's trailers on there too, the black and white trailers, and it does have a really definitely a different feel to it.
Well, it's interesting, you mentioned, and the analogy or comparison that you brought up was with some of the stunts and everything, comparing it to Ben-Hur. And I know that in the original Ben-Hur, the chariot races, one guy was killed there with the wipe out of the chariots and everything. Obviously, OSHA wasn't quite as involved in movie making back then as they perhaps are now.
Yeah, like you said, they definitely have more safety precautions in place here. But this was definitely clearly someone could have been injured in this.
Because when you think about
easily.
wanting to do a good safe movie, you always want to go film in Namibia.
Yeah. Head out to Africa. Huh?
Highest possible standards.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Well, they went to Africa just because it's just a big flat flat nothing out
Yeah,
there.
if you
And,
want a big desert scene, that would do it.
and that's where they were able to do some of this stuff. At one point, they blow up this tanker, this huge semi truck, and they blew it up. They took this thing and put some fuel in it and wired it up and just got it, cruising out there in the middle of nowhere and blew this thing up. And just,
Wouldn't you love to have that guy's job? I mean, what do you do for a living? Oh, people call me to come blow things up. That
would be cool.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they did a lot of, and some of the crazy stuff where they're rolling these vehicles. They had little armatures that they put on the bottom of the vehicle that this arm pops out when there's time to flip the car, and it rolls this thing over. And so there's a scene where they had to block this passage with the vehicle. They put a stunt driver in there, and he got this semi truck going along there, and at a certain point hit the button and blew this thing, and there's a lot of getting into it. I mean, because the thing had to end. They wanted to finish up coming right at the cameras and block this little passageway in the rock, so that they actually had to get it to land just right. So some of this stuff was just incredible that they were able to, the skill, with these stuntmen. It's pretty impressive.
And,
Huevos Grande.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Another actor too that has a prominent role in the movie is Nicholas Holt. You might remember him as Jennifer Lawrence's boyfriend for a while. He played the big blue shaggy guy in the Avengers movies. He played the Beast.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and more importantly, because who cares about the Avengers, right? He played R in the romantic zombie movie
Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies.
Yeah, Warm Bodies.
Yep.
I got nothing.
Sorry, I got I'm like, okay.
Even
Oh.
a love so strong, even death could not stop it.
Oh,
Be
just like the
still
guy who
my
was
heart.
blown up in Waco.
That's right, yeah.
I like that, yeah.
So, when it comes to action movies, and this, obviously, the Mad Max movie that you need to go down to the Sawmill Theaters and see starting today, has plenty of that, a lot of great special effects, a lot of great stunts. But when it comes to special effects and especially stunts, what other movies come to mind with you, Craig? I mean, as far as wow, that really blew my mind, or that was pretty impressive type of thing.
Oh God. Well, like I said, I when I was watching them, the making of this movie last night, the Ben-Hur was the thing that kind of, that chariot race that came up there.
Right?
God, Star Wars.
Star Wars had some pretty interesting stuff.
A lot of those, and the reason I say that Star Wars is another one that they, obviously there's a lot of special effects and CGI in there, but there's also a lot of, Star Wars is one where they actually go through and build the sets and
Right.
do these things, and you're going to get a different feel for that too. If everything's CGI, I mean, special effects are very good right now, but you can still tell, you can still kind of see that. And it's different when they take the time and go through and build sets and actually do these stunts.
Right.
And that's what this Fury Road thing really is too, where you're going to see that, where they,
Right.
they're not, of all the, just insanity. That was the thing. It was just like, I can't even imagine they tried this. I mean, really, this was kind of, and you're talking about George Miller, where he did all these movies. I think this was kind of the, maybe what he wanted to do with some of the earlier Mad Max films, and he just wasn't able to do it. And finally everything caught up and came together where he was able to do this. So you gotta come see it. It really is. It's just insanity.
Very interesting.
And George Miller is also a physician. He's
Really?
the only movie producer I know
Is it MD?
that is an MD.
Good grief,
Wow.
yeah.
Well,
Don't see that every
Don't
day.
you-
That's handy when
Yeah.
you're asking people to do crazy stunts, I guess.
Oh, I'll just fix you right up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I mean, if you go back to, further back in Hollywood for people doing stunts and people doing their own stunts, Errol Flynn did his own stunts in Captain Blood and Robin Hood. And if you go back and you look at those, and they're in black and white, man, you're like watching him going, that's not possible. You know, and then Buster Keaton in the one on the train. I forget the name of that, but a lot of the early.
You're talking really early here.
Yeah, well, you know,
Buster
back
Keaton,
to when I was just in my teens.
And it was so hard to print those movies out on stone like they did. It was terrible.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, and then one of the amazing special effects movies doesn't get enough credit. Mel Gibson, Apocalypto.
Oh, there you go.
That is
Oh.
an extraordinary movie. Okay,
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Yeah,
Mission
Tom Cruise,
Impossible.
Oh, Mission Impossible. Yeah, there's been some
Absolutely.
amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
being strapped to the side of an airplane that's taking off would be
he
kind of
does.
a rush.
yeah,
He does that stuff on his own, yeah.
yeah. And then just to make a switch, one that I want to see again. I've got a hunger for it again. I see it a lot. The Boondock Saints.
Oh wow.
And in the first one, when they have the toilet that falls on the guy.
Oh,
in the,
boy.
I'm sorry, I'm showing my true colors, I'm terrible, right?
No,
So,
we-
yeah, but the Boondock Saints is great, and they have the great Billy Conway.
Never upset Tina.
Oh,
She'll drop a
yeah.
toilet on your head. Well, you know, it's interesting though.
Yeah, there's a great scene in Captain Blood where Errol Flynn's trying to get from the top of the mast down to the deck,
Right,
and he leaps onto the sail
yes.
and takes his dagger,
And
stabs
it
it into the,
Oh,
and rides it down.
and then
and rides it
it
down. Oh, my word. And he did this stuff.
I
He
mean,
was he was amazing.
that was just crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
yeah.
way up there. He
Yeah.
could've, you know, that didn't have to work the way they thought it would.
No, no. You know, back in the day, you had these people who were super acrobatic. You was an amazing guy, acrobatic, and people don't remember this. Burt Lancaster started out life as a trapeze artist,
Right.
and he did some really cool stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, we have to take just a minute break here. The folks on KRIM FM, we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music. And those of you that want to follow along with us or that are not already over on our Facebook page, we're coming to you live on Facebook Live here for the next 30 minutes with your hometown movie guys. By the way, good morning to Norma, Carly, and Edna, who are also joining us there. And we're going to be asking them some questions and asking you to chime in with us. But right now on KRIM, we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music. Have some tunes coming up from David Essex, Bay City Rollers, Bob Dylan, and a whole bunch more. But first, a quick look at Rim Country weather.
Bay City Rollers, I haven't heard them for a while.
Goodness, me neither. Haven't.
All right,
All right.
so
Okay.
enough with that. Now we can get down to
Ah.
the nitty gritty.
The gritty of nitty.
Greg, one of the things we did last week was we talked a little bit about concert movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pink
Forgot to
Floyd, The
mention,
Wall.
forgot to
Oh.
mention Woodstock. I mean, seriously, I've seen that about.
Did you see
20
the out here in the
20
lobby
times.
and the KRIM studios here? Chris just purchased. It's a wonderful little frame thing on the north wall there
Mhm.
of a piece of the stage, actual piece of the stage from Woodstock.
No
Really?
kidding.
Signed and I mean,
Heavens.
it just got an authentic authentication
Wow.
doohickey on the back, but pretty cool. I was 10 years old in '69, and I was in New York, in White Plains, New York that summer, and
Oh.
I thought, wow, going to the concert would be cool.
Yeah.
For some reason, my dad, the cop, didn't think that was where I needed to be at 10, so never went there, but sounded like they all had a lot of fun.
I did not go, but I knew people who did. But you know, there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, I was there," and that's impossible. I mean, even though it was huge, and even though it was, you know, lots of writhing bodies in the mud, I don't think everybody who said they writhed in the mud was really there.
But really some terrific music.
Oh man.
I remember Richie Havens doing
Oh.
Freedom.
Yes.
Like, it's a showstopper there.
Love Richie Havens. Yeah, yeah. And Jimi Hendrix playing the Star Spangled
Oh, yeah,
Banner.
yeah, but like
To wake people-
behind his head and,
Oh man, I saw him twice actually in concert. I am that old.
wow.
Yeah,
I never had a chance to see him, but I've
Yeah.
seen some biggies, but not him.
yeah.
You know who else has a really terrific rendition of the national anthem is a band called Moby Rising. If you can you pull that up on YouTube and listen to it.
Moby Rising.
Moby
No,
Rising.
no relationship to Moby Grape?
No.
Yeah, okay.
And,
remember.
or to Moby Dick.
Or to Moby Dick.
Right. Or Moby.
Or
Yeah,
Moby, yeah.
Moby, right.
By the way, good morning to Ray, Roberta, and Juan, and Marlena all joining us. Appreciate you coming along. So, to our Facebook listeners this morning, favorite action flick of all time and why? Just, when it comes to action movies, that can take you a lot of different directions.
Yeah. I know Craig's favorite Christmas movie.
Was it an action movie?
Favorite
Die
Christmas
Hard.
movie? Oh, Die
Oh,
Hard.
yeah, Die Hard. Yeah,
And believe it or not, that is a Christmas movie.
yeah.
But so, Tina, action movies. Do you have a favorite that comes to mind as far as
Oh.
stunts and special effects and things and
Well,
stuff?
I mean, Ben-Hur is amazing.
The original.
It really, the original, yeah. And, Apocalypto, I just watched that recently again, and it doesn't get enough credit, but it's just, I mean, it's almost, you're watching it thinking this is not even possible, how are they doing this? And it was Mel Gibson who directed it, and it's all done in the alleged language of the ancient Aztecs. Is it Aztecs?
Mayas.
Mayas. Yeah.
They're just down the road from the Aztecs.
Yeah. No, it's great. And then the old, like we said, Captain Blood and Robin Hood. I like I like to go back and see action movies that were not CGI, that were actually done by stunt people,
Right.
and even the original actors. Think of the moment in Silverado, in which
One of my favorite movies.
Kevin Costner just bolts onto the back of that horse, and there was that moment, I could see it in my mind, where I was going, oh, okay, who is this guy? He is somebody. He's going to be somebody. That was just
And that was really his
stellar.
debut.
Yeah,
And-
it was
and-
his
but-
breakout role.
And the
Yeah.
character that he played was kind of an out there on the
It
edge
was
sort
so
of
great.
personality.
And
But
he
he did a
did-
great job.
He did a lot of his own, maybe all of his own stunts, because he was a minor actor.
Yeah. And now you compare that to like the role he's playing now in what's this series?
Is it Yellowstone?
Yellowstone. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
that's-
I also saw The Highwaymen recently. We rewatched that
Right.
with Woody Harrelson, which, by the way, if you've seen Bonnie and Clyde with Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty, the picture of Frank Hamer in that movie was so disrespectful and false and fraudulent that the family of Frank Hamer was just outraged.
Really?
And they wrote and thanked Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson for writing the history to the way it was. Bonnie and Clyde were sociopathic murderers.
Sure. Yeah, there's nothing romantic about it.
And to glamorize them was really awful, and to demean Frank Hamer was also awful. He was an amazing guy. I looked him up and read all about him after seeing The Highwaymen again. That's a really good movie.
And that Bonnie and Clyde, you look at Natural Born Killers.
Ooh,
They
yeah,
went
with
back,
Woody
that
Woody
was-
Harrelson
Yeah,
was in
Woody
that,
Harrelson,
right?
yeah, and Julia
Yeah.
Lewis. That was a Oliver Stone film that was kind of a Bonnie and Clyde type story there, but
but not.
that one was.
Well, we were talking earlier. Andy had mentioned this one director who's, had some pretty profound departures from one end of the spectrum to the other as far as the works that he's done.
George Miller.
Right.
George Miller.
But here, another one would be just like that.
That
Name
other-
went right out of my head.
That other guy.
The guy from Braveheart.
Mel.
Gibson. Yeah.
No.
I mean, Mel Gibson. He's directed some things
Yeah.
ranging from the shoot 'em up type stuff to the Passion of the Christ. I mean,
Yes.
which is that's a fairly wide chasm to cross.
Right, and Get the Gringo again. Like,
Right.
not enough people have seen that. It's a wonderful movie. Yeah.
He might be a little more prolific as a director
Yeah.
than as an actor.
Right.
And the thing is he hasn't really, in my opinion, and of course I'm always right, but
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. See, he said so. I mean, he's a critic.
Yeah.
But
We'll suck up to you any day.
that's right.
We want to come back next week.
Well, jury's still out. No, I don't remember where the heck I was going with this now.
But Mel, yeah.
Mel Gibson, he hasn't really gotten a lot of credit. I mean, it seems like he's one that Hollywood doesn't really wave his flag as much as they wave other people's
Well,
flag.
he had that pretty public meltdown there where he
That'll do it.
left a message for his
Very
ex-wife
terrible. Yeah.
or what he was thinking with that, but
Right. And then
I think
also
he'd been
he was
drinking.
stopped,
Yeah,
he was
it
stopped
was,
by the cop, and said some things that were not very
Right.
nice, yeah. But you know, think about the movie Conspiracy Theory. With what's her name? Julie, oh, come on.
It's not Julie Andrews. I
No,
know
no,
that.
no. But that's a great movie. He's very versatile. Another director who's very versatile and who's starred in many of his own movies, Clint Eastwood.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's give him credit.
And there's a guy who Hollywood hasn't spent a whole lot of time trying to love him up.
Well, there's a great series right now on Netflix called The Hollywood Masters.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Where this gentleman interviews, I've been watching it, you know, just many actors, directors, producers, very interesting, and I just watched the Clint Eastwood interview the other night. It was really worth watching, yeah.
He's another one that, you know, directing and acting, and
Mhm.
he actually composes music too.
Yes.
That's
And sometimes sings it.
Well, and they
He's
asked him about
terribly
that
talented.
too, and he said that he didn't want to work with somebody, he went into that because when you work with somebody who's composing music for you, you're trying to get them to see your vision. And he went, well, what the heck, I'll just, you know, do music for my own vision. And it's good. I mean, he's a jazz aficionado.
Well, and as far as movies go, boy, I mean, you know, back in the '60s, he was in a lot of those, you know, TV westerns and stuff like that.
Oh,
Rawhide.
come on, Dirty Harry.
Oh, that
One of my
a bit later,
favorite
yeah.
series, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's been around movie making since
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Interesting. So,
And speaking of Tom Hanks,
and we were at one point.
well, it seems like we're always talking
We
about
are
Tom
again,
Hanks,
yeah.
Tom Hanks,
Yeah.
with good reason.
Yeah.
But one of the movies we're talking about, some of these crime gangster movies. You remember Road to Perdition?
Yes,
What?
with Jude Law
Holy
as
smokes!
playing the bad guy. Oh my gosh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't often get to see Tom Hanks as a bad guy,
He was a bad guy.
but he was
Yeah,
very
a
bad.
baddest bad guy.
I like
Yeah.
the part that he played in The Green Mile.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was that whole movie was pretty interesting. It's definitely not an action flick, but
No,
it's a heck of a well-written story.
it is.
So we got to ask. We haven't gotten to you yet, Andy. When it comes to, if you were going to pick just numero uno when it comes to best action flick of all time, why do I think he's going to say some zombie movie?
You know, it's really hard for me to come up with something that I enjoyed better or had more impact than Die Hard.
Die Hard.
And you know, there's a lot of just really good stuff in there.
We just watched the original Die Hard on TV like 2 days ago, I think, something
Did
like
you
that.
hear the latest Bruce Willis? He went into a Rite Aid, and he was kicked out of a Rite Aid pharmacy because he wouldn't wear a mask. Man after my own heart, by the way.
Rite Aid full of leftists.
Yeah, well, I mean, he just, but you know, and then he apologized. I mean, he lives in California, poor guy. So,
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the right place for him to be, but you know, whatever.
whatever.
I'm not sure.
I saw his daughter Rummer in this last week in her first movie. One of my favorite authors is Carl Hysen.
Oh, yeah.
Really likes
He's
funny
great,
stuff,
yeah.
but the only feature-length adult movie that has been made from one of his novels was Striptease.
Yes,
And Demi Moore is Rummer's mom.
right.
And she plays a stripper, very athletic. It's too bad there was so much emphasis on her athleticism in the movie, rather than Carl Hysen's known for his just hysterically
He's
funny
snarky,
stuff.
snarky guy. Yeah,
But
great.
most of this movie was focused on you know, this beautiful, gorgeous woman dancing with no clothes on, which is okay, but it doesn't have, you know, I wanted something funny.
Right.
But Rummer, it was Rummer's first movie. She was about
Yeah,
10 or 11, something like that.
Wow.
yeah.
I don't know. There's there's so
So
many.
it's a talented family,
Yeah.
the entire Willis family.
Yeah.
Husband, wife, and child.
Yeah, well, and so is Clint Eastwood. He's got Allison Eastwood, who was in in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Wait, that was
And then
chiller.
Great,
Yike.
great. And I mean, whatever we have to say about Kevin Spacey in his personal life, and I have nothing good to say.
We don't see him much anymore, too.
No,
right?
but he really has been in some good movies, and in that in the Garden of Good and Evil was a really good movie with him. And then Kyle Eastwood, Clint's son,
Mhm.
has been, I forget when he started, but he's quite good,
Now, he was just in Suicide Squad.
indeed.
Hey, by the way, we've got to say a quick good morning and thanks for joining us to Roberta, Ray, Tim, Terry, Athena, Dejo, Elsa, Kelly, Jean, and Cassandra. And thanks for joining us this morning.
Are we getting more of an audience?
I don't know.
It could happen.
But we appreciate you
Thank
stopping.
you.
I mean, some come, some go, and the bottom line is
thank you
we
for
appreciate you joining along with us. And let us know your favorite movie of all time. And it might be, maybe it's,
I thought
The
it was
Adventures
action
of
movie,
Mr.
and
Rogers'
I
Neighborhood.
thought that was action movie. Now you've expanded it to the entire
Well,
universe.
they can type in.
All right,
Sure.
so
2001: A Space Odyssey. Okay, fine.
that's of all time?
Well, sometimes on a good day, I love that movie. I've seen it about 20 times. You know,
That is I mean, that goes back.
but
to
you
your-
had to see it in the original Cinerama and sit in the middle of the theater so that your whole peripheral vision was, oh yeah. I mean,
I remember
great movie.
when Star Wars first came out back in '77, I think.
Yeah.
Seeing it at the Cine Capri Theater down
Oh, yeah.
in Phoenix, which is the only place it played. Two of my friends worked there, so I had backdoor access.
Oh,
I remember just having my mind blown by. I love the storyline. I love the special effects. I've never seen, and no one had ever seen anything quite like that prior to that.
No, we haven't.
And then here, Joe, just a few months ago, we decided to watch it again. And, on the home system, got a good sound system, big screen, blah, yada, yada, yada. But, man, you can just see all kinds of technological holes in the old original.
it's a bit clunky.
Yeah,
Yes.
but man, when it first came out,
Yeah.
I think everybody's mind was blown by it.
Well, 2001: A Space Odyssey still stands as one of the great special effects movies. Douglas Slocum was the special effects guy. And there were, if you think of when it was made, it was in the 60s. All of the things that they did in that movie still hold up for me. I haven't been able to see it on a big screen, but, hope springs eternal. I will one of these days.
I hear you.
But I saw it in Cinerama about 5 times when it first came out.
So we have something tomorrow coming up on the big screen, don't we? Saturday?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. How about Alien?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was
Special
78.
effects. Oh.
Yeah. And that's the first movie where, things came jumping out of people. whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember as a younger kid, one of my older brothers, my brother David, and his girlfriend at the time took me out to the movies one night with them, and I don't know if my parents had a hot date and he was the one that got roped into doing that or why I ended up. But we went out and saw Ben, the old
rats.
movie about the rats,
Yeah.
and. I remember as a kid that was kind of a creepy movie, and the only thing that made it creepier was Michael Jackson,
Singing,
serving the music,
Which is a beautiful song.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very melodic
Oh
and
yeah.
kind of soothing. And,
Right.
ooh, yeah, creepy. Yeah.
I don't know. It just wasn't one of those movies that really. Afterwards I went, man, I'd like to go see that again. So when it comes to our last question of the day today, when it comes to horror movies, or let's just say really scary flicks, aside from the most recent election that was televised, what was the scariest thing that you ever remember seeing?
Oh God, Jeepers Creepers was
Oh, there you go.
that was a good one. What's the one with the mirror? Oculus.
Yeah.
That was oh God, what's her name from? She played Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy. But there was like a demon in the mirror, and it would twist your reality, so you didn't know you were, you know, it was in your mind. But and her brother got out of prison. Her brother got accused of murder or something. Anyway, he got out and they went back to destroy the mirror. It's, man, you've got to check that one out.
It's called The Oculus?
I think it's Oculus, yeah. Yeah,
I'll have to check that out, yeah.
this kind of old haunted
You know,
mirror.
I look back at some of the old movies that, first of all, I've seen enough horror in my life that I don't really like to watch horror movies anymore, but as a kid, I always thought, you know, scary movies were cool. And there was a Vincent Price movie, was it House of Wax?
House of Wax.
Yeah, and there was a few different Vincent
Yeah.
Price movies.
Remade in a better version
Really?
with
Yeah.
Paris Hilton.
With Paris Hilton.
Ooh.
Well,
Who knew she could act?
Okay,
everybody went to
so
see it to watch her die.
Yeah. Ooh.
The Devil's Advocate
Oh, there you go.
with Al Pacino playing Satan.
That was a good
There
one.
were some scenes in there that were just chilling. It's a morality story.
Of course, and we would be remiss if we were even talking anywhere close to along these lines and didn't mention The Exorcist.
Oh yeah.
And really,
Yeah.
even though that was what, the late 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
That's
77?
still a pretty darn scary flick.
And if you go and watch The Hollywood Masters on Netflix, they interview John Frankenheimer, who was the director, and there's a whole long information interview part about The Exorcist. It's amazing. I mean, how he even picked Linda Blair. And he's a great director, by the way. We should do John Frankenheimer movies one of these days, because he's one of my favorite directors.
As much as I appreciate The Exorcist, and I agree that it's one of the great horror movies of all time, it didn't scare me. But I'm with Tina. The Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, yeah.
That scared me.
It's really
that-
scary. Yeah.
For me, that really depicted the nature of the entity that we in Christianity refer to as the deceiver.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, and Al Pacino
Made
gives
the
that
hair
great
stand up on my head.
speech at the end about how it's lawyers, you know, liars, lawyers, we are, you know, it's our time now. And that speech, I've watched that
That's scary.
speech over and over again just to really understand how evil really speaks about itself.
You know,
And there's an Arizona movie too
Yeah.
called The Monster That Challenged the World that I saw as a grade school.
Wow.
And it was filmed, I think, down in Yuma, that area anyway, with the canals and everything. And the monster that challenged the world was, essentially it was a big caterpillar. But I remember there was one scene where the coming from off screen, there's some poor guy out there, he's watching the water gate, and you know, it's his job at a certain time of day, he had to change it. But coming from off screen, the caterpillar pinchers came out and pinched this guy. Whoop! Yeah, and that really scared me. You know, I was 10 or something.
30 Days a Night.
oh,
What's it called?
That was awful.
30 Days a Night.
Oh,
30
God, I
Days a
hated
Night?
that.
Yeah, it's a vampire movie.
Ooh,
They're up in
vampires suck.
no,
Yeah.
and he doesn't like it because it's in Alaska, and he doesn't like the detail. But it was
Polar bears didn't get enough credit.
It's a great concept where you're
No,
up
they
in
filmed it in
Alaska,
New Zealand.
where you know it's dark for 30 days.
Great
Right.
concept, I'll
Which
give you
is
that.
perfect for vampires. Yeah,
Right.
this weird
Right.
little horde of like Eastern European vampires show up, and they were super creepy.
Hey,
You know,
vampire movie, Daybreakers with Ethan
Yeah, that
Hawke.
terrific movie.
That does not get enough credit, and that's one of my favorite vampire movies.
You know-
And Willem Dafoe, the great
Oh,
Willem
yeah.
Dafoe is in that, and Sam Neill. Yeah.
You guys remember, some of you, I guess, are old enough to remember when, Cusol, I think is how you say his name, the dictator in Romania.
Oh, Ceausescu.
Ceausescu, there we go,
Yeah.
Ceausescu.
Oh, yeah.
When he was machine gunned and taken from office that day. I was living in Alaska at the time, and I had somebody dead serious, told me to be very careful, and this is, this was in Alaska.
Right.
Told me to be very, very careful because the vampires had been chased from Romania and were heading for the Arctic. And for,
Oh, geez.
no, for exactly,
Really?
for exactly,
Bartender, I'll have what they're having.
yeah, for exactly
Well,
the
because it's dark.
reason.
No, actually,
It's
you know,
dark, right,
I've spent
yeah.
time in extensively in Romania and in Bucharest. The big palace that he had built.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes our U.S. Capitol look really small and cheesy. This thing is huge, and that country has gone through some very tumultuous times. I in my travels, I think one of the darkest, creepiest places that I'd ever seen, and it's a big long story we don't have time for, but was in Calcutta, India, and it brought a whole new level of meaning to the old
black
terminology
hole.
of the black hole of Calcutta.
Right.
And I had never seen anything else quite like that. And the guy that was my mentor, Dr. Larry Ward, had told me later on that there was really only two places on the globe that he'd been to, and he'd been to 70-some countries that were like that. There was Calcutta, India, and then there's this one slum in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, called Cité Soleil. And anyway, he passed away, and it was a few years later, in 2010, that the earthquake struck there. And I went down to Haiti, and I have to say it was the same weird darkness that'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and the food sucked too.
Yeah.
But there's something very real to some of that. And so my point out of sharing all that nonsense is that I don't watch horror flicks like I used to.
No.
I've seen too many things that have freaked me out enough.
Although I would watch The Devil's Advocate again because it's observing evil and trying to understand it to guard against it.
Right.
Yeah,
And there's a great scene in the very, very last scene where Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron are going to go back to where they've been from, the big city of New York, the evil city of New York, which obviously has not gotten better. And there's a reporter who's trying to get Keanu Reeves' attention. Oh, come on, talk about yourself. And Keanu Reeves is kind of, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then he melts into Al Pacino's face, and Al Pacino says, "Vanity, it's my favorite sin."
Oh, makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, bam.
So we're almost out of time. Scariest movie of all time, in your opinion?
Oh.
Yeah. Put you on the spot there.
I know, huh? Yeah, so many. Alien.
Yeah,
I'll go with
Alien
for
was
sure.
scary.
How about you?
Sci-fi horror.
I actually, The Devil's Advocate.
That was happy.
Yeah,
That's a
it
good one.
really is. Yeah.
I'm thinking Love Story.
No.
No. Scariest movie of all time?
Serpent and the Rainbow.
Ooh.
Serpent and the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Wow, how far back does that
Yeah,
go?
that's
70s.
70s. Yeah.
80s, I think 80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Who's in that?
Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman.
Later
Yeah.
became president.
Yeah.
But you would enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
there's a scene in there where
Jamaica, Haiti.
the head of the
Mm-hmm.
Tonton Macoute which means boogeyman,
Yeah.
the secret police in Haiti has Bill Pullman in his office, and in jars along the wall, all around, he has people's souls. Just the most
Creepy.
horrifying thing that you can imagine. That was scary.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be scary.
An interview with a vampire, I think, was
Vampire
pretty
with Tom
darn
Cruise?
creepy. Yeah.
Was Tom Cruise in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad
Yeah.
Pitt, Tom
Brad
Cruise.
Pitt and Kirsten Little, young.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She's the girl?
She's
the
the
little girl?
Little girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I want
How
to
would
say
you-
a quick hello to Jeannie, Jasmine, Jody, Barbara, Dar, Sean, and Geraldine. Thank you for joining us this morning. Sadly, we are all out of time. We got to get out of the studio here, but
See you
join us
next
every
week.
Friday morning. Certainly on Facebook Live here from 10 until 11, but also on KRM Radio from 10 until 10:30. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to the Hometown Movie Guys.
Yay!
You betcha. We love being here.
Yeah.
Movies.